Welcome to Freshly Flanimated. In character animation, very often we need to animate scenes to dialogue. And the most common approach to animating to dialogue is to have the heads as synced containers, which have the facial features and the mouths inside a head symbol where all the lip sync and all the facial feature animation is done. And we also have multiple angles for the head and swap. In this presentation, I will cover the technical aspects of running synced containers, using synced containers for facial animation, swapping synced containers, maintaining sync, and how to organize your head symbols internally so that they're functional for character animation. To start, let's look at our timeline first. We have a scene with a line of audio that the character has to deliver. The audio starts at frame 25 and the scene goes until frame 300. On the stage, we have a character who is a smart magnet rig. His head is a symbol instance of a graphic container, which is set to play once, and it starts from frame 1, which means that this container runs in sync. To be able to run a container in sync, we need to have the same number of frames inside the container as we have on the external timeline. In this case, inside the head, we must have at least 300 frames. So if we go inside the head symbol, we have the facial features here. We have the audio layer so that we can scrub and do the lip syncing by choosing specific mouth frames. The mouth is a symbol itself with a number of mouth positions. In this case, I will just simulate lip sync. I'm not going to do proper lip syncing. That is why it looks like this instead of having each individual mouth position on one frame. Because I will just loop them during the time when the character speaks. But what I wanted to show you here is that we have 300 frames here in this timeline as well. I've also included a frame counter so that when we're on the external timeline, we can always make sure that this head container runs in sync. If it happens to fall out of sync, we will very easily detect that it is not in sync by having a mismatch between this number and this number, the number of the current frame. And if this happens, we can very quickly resync by using the extremely handy sync symbols to timeline command with a shortcut key of /. So on top of having this 3/4 container, we also in the library have a front view of the head and a side view. With next and previous symbol in library command, we can cycle between these. That means that we can symbol swap very easily, and I will demonstrate this. So next and previous symbol in library, that's this command. So using its shortcuts, we can symbol swap. If we go forward, we will go to the profile view, and if we go backward, we'll go back to the 3/4 view, and if we go back again, we'll go to the front view. They're named in a way alphanumerically so that we have very predictable symbol swapping pattern, and because they are in a subfolder, we'll always cycle through those. These head symbols also contain 300 frames each and have the audio line inside for scrubbing and lip sync. Now, what's the best approach to start tackling a scene? Is it to do the lip sync first, or would it be better to first block out the body movement and then go inside the head and do the lip sync? If you use an automated lip sync tool such as the one that is available in Animate, It probably doesn't matter. You can just run an automated lip sync within the 3 head containers so that you have them lip sync. But if you do the lip sync manually, you will probably save some time if you first block out your animation. And when you know the exact spans where a specific head angle is actually visible, then you only lip sync within that container. So I'll show you this approach, which is more economical. Let me close the library and just simulate some blocking out of some animation. So let's just create a bunch of keyframes and grab Kineflex, and literally I will not do any animation. I'll only create keyframes to simulate some stuff. Imagine that this character is just doing something, but these are all absolutely random poses. So at this point, I will swap the head to have him look toward the camera for a while. No one's ever animated the scene faster than this. Or maybe we could have a flipped version here. Let's have a flipped version here. So he looks backward, and then let's swap. Let me have one other 3/4 view here as well. Just for the sake of the demo, I mean, it's probably completely pointless to have him speak in a profile, but let's imagine that someone's come into the scene and he's just addressing a different character. And now we'll go back to the 3/4 view and just end the scene here. Okay, so now we've created all this wonderful animation. Nothing has been lip synced, and we would like to retime some of this. So if I retime, instantly I will fall out of sync. Now this head here, it says 187, and here we have a 182, and here we have 199, and this is 194. So to resync the whole layer, I will click on the head symbol and press the sync symbol to timeline. All keyframes have been resynced. Okay. Now when we blocked out our animation, we need to go inside and do the actual lip sync. Let's see where we have the swap of the head. So from frame 80, we'll have to lip sync in the front view. But up to frame 80, the lip sync has to happen within the 3/4 view. So let me just mark it somehow. And let us have the lip sync start here. As I said, I'm not gonna do real lip sync, so I'll just set this to loop. The mouth will just go in loop and simulate a lip sync. So this is the part that we need to lip sync, and from frame 80, it's pointless to do anything in this timeline because at frame 80, we have a different symbol to deal with. So from frame 80 to frame 160, we have to lip sync here. So up to 160, up to this frame. So 161, I'll lock this frame, and then from 80, which is this frame, in fact from 87 we can run a lip sync loop. So just the same as I did with the other head, I'll just go loop, and we'll have the lip sync in the front view, in the container that contains the front view. So this is done. And now from 161 we'll have to go into the 3/4 view again, up until, well, we can ignore this one, up until 226. Okay, so if you remember, we had the enter and punch. If I enter and punch, which is one of these commands, enter or punch, I will use this just to mark my first keyframe, and the last one will be 227. So I'll enter here and mark 227. I can just stop it. I can just stop it here. Okay, so it's this section that we have to deal with. I will just create a stopped version with the closed mouth, and then loop this section and this section. Okay, so he says something, then he's quiet, and then he says something else. And then from 227, so this is when we start the lip sync in the side view. I'll do the enter and punch again, and we have to just go on until almost the end of the audio. So I'll enter and punch, and he will speak from this frame up until here, where the mouth will stay closed. Let's just loop from here. We may stop it for a while here because there's no audio. There's a pause here. Okay, so if we look at it now, we can see that everything is in sync. The numbers indicate that we're running the internal timelines in sync, and the mouths are in sync as well. Now, if we would like to do some additional animation within the containers, for example, little turns while he's speaking, we can do it very easily internally whenever we like. So, for example, if we would like to simulate a little 3D turn here, we can just do it like this. Move these bits and shrink this a little bit so that we simulate a little bit of a soft turn, and then these will have classic tweens and this will have a shape tween. So as he speaks, he also does a little bit of a turn. Since this is a synced timeline, you can see how all this works. Now I'm not going to do a classic twin because the animation will be absurdly bad, but I will just hit enter so that we can see it. If externally, now we need to add keyframes or polish the animation or retime. This is very easy because, as you know, the internal timeline is lip synced, or the facial animation is all complete, and now externally we can polish our animation. So if we would like to add a keyframe here, for example, and change the pose a little bit, we can do so without losing any work because the lip sync is internally and it's completely independent. So we can add keyframes. If we need to retime these keyframes, we can just slide them, and the only thing that we need to do after sliding them is resyncing, because when we slid them to the right, we fell off sync. 107 is now matching 110. So we have to just select these that we slid to the right, and we have to just press sync to timeline, and they're again in sync. Anytime you change the position of a keyframe on a synced timeline, you have to resync it. So slide this key to the right, add another key here, move it to the left, and then change the pose. Just select these two that we just altered and resync. If you're in doubt whether you've forgotten something, you can always select the whole layer and just resync the whole layer. It doesn't really matter that we have different symbols, because all of these head containers, the 3/4 profile and front view, they're all supposed to run in sync. It doesn't really matter that we swap containers. Frame numbers at keyframes should always match the external timeline. So this is what sync symbols to timeline does. It's pointless to play it because there's nothing to see there, but I hope that the concept is clear now and you will be able to apply it in your beautiful animations.
Freshly Flanimated.